Mike, I'm working with this agent and I almost bought a house where one of the walls was caving in. How do I know if the realtor is working for me or not?
Well, that's a really good question, Kate, and I'm glad you asked. It's important that you have an agent that's working in your best interest from the first meeting until you actually get the keys to your new home. How do you find that out is there needs to be a conversation between the realtor and also the buyer, and this is based on state law. There needs to be a discussion about representation at the first face-to-face meeting. There's also a form that documents this, and it's called the agency disclosure form. There are three components that are absolutely critical: property examination, value analysis, and negotiation assistance.
How does a property exam work?
Well, within the first 5 to 10 minutes of arriving at a house, the buyer agent needs to be telling you if there's any major walkaway factors or really big issues with the house. This prevents you from spending a lot of time looking at a house and really wasting your time when you could be spending time looking at properties that might be a much better choice for you. It's important to note that a lot of times people will buy a house with a failed foundation because they spend a lot of time falling in love with the interior, then went downstairs for just a couple minutes and kind of talked themselves into actually buying problems. When you look at a value analysis...
Wait, what's the value analysis?
It's important to know that every property has a range of value for what it's worth. And it's important to know that before you make an offer to purchase.
How would I go about finding that out?
Well, there's a few things you can do. You want to look at similar sales in the same general neighborhood, that have sold recently, and also within the last, say, 6 to 12 months. You don't want to go a whole lot farther back than there. It's also important to look at same style houses. The cost per square foot can vary a lot depending, like say between a ranch and a Cape Cod. Cost per square foot is significantly different. You think about 1,500 square feet that's built this way versus 1,500 square feet that's stacked. 1,500 square feet this way, there's twice as much basement, there's twice as much roofing, sidewalls are double. So all those things lead to a higher construction cost to begin with, and then that carries right through on resale. A buyer agent also has the buyer's best interest in mind, acting on their behalf from start to finish. For instance, go out and look at houses. The next day, the realtor representing the seller is going to call and say, so what did they think of the house that you showed last night? And the buyer agent response shouldn't be, oh, they loved it, they'll pay anything for it. That's absolutely the worst thing to say. What the buyer agent needs to do is, if the buyer's interested, is to say that there is a medium level of interest. They're thinking about the different modifications that they have to make to the house, and they're trying to make sure they can afford it, the different repairs that we identified before making an offer to purchase. It's a much more effective way to proceed when the buyer agent is truly representing the buyer.
What about when looking at the contract?
Well, the buyer agent should make sure that all those things that can save you money are in your favor. In particular, the closing dates, interest rates, inclusions. You always want to say include the window treatments. It's a lot better than starting out with newspaper.